going to need to do capturing of the data. So you need to do two things: to display data and capture data. So and if it's a lot of data, then definitely you're going to display them in something like a table. So you just want to understand how the tables work. Really, it's just something really simple, which you're going to complete and do some CSS on it really quick. So I plan maybe we take 30 minutes on that. Then on the other thing, forms, also you need to know how to capture data. So that's another thing that you need to really understand, because all applications, like the application that you're going to go on in your bank, in your Safaricom M-Pesa, when you want to buy an airtime or you want to pay a bill, it's just a form that you're going to fill and then submit the data. So to me, all applications are basically just forms that capture the data. You might not enter the data directly, but it's just capturing your data, then submitting it somewhere. And then now some actions are going to be taken on that data, like sending an SMS, sending the money M-Pesa. So you need to really master how forms are, and it's just something really simple. We need to create just a simple form. You see the fields that are common in there, and then you do some stylings on it to make it much better. Now what I need you to do is to create a new file. Just create a new file. Remember, just right click here, new file, then just call it tables.html. tables.html. At least right now we'll give it a better relevant name than lesson 1, lesson 2, so that when you come back here you can easily reference. So call it tables.html. tables.html. So we're going to also have forms.html. I'm planning to tackle those two things today, the tables and the forms. So create that file, take your time, create the file, then we can actually start building our tables. You see how easy they are. So when you go to any organization that handles a lot of data, maybe a list of customers and a list of stuff, you're going to present that data in tables. So it's going to look, it's going to have, let me just get some image here so that we can talk about it. Maybe we take this table over here. Okay, so it's going to look like this, but of course a lot of data there. So you're going to have columns, rows, and then you're going to style it up using CSS. So probably want to build something like this. Let's see how we can build something like this. But of course we're going to put a lot more data in there to the table. So generate the compulsory. It's HTML5. HTML5. So you just need to type HTML, then you choose the HTML5, and then here the title is just going to be tables, and then of course you're going to write some styles. So put there style tag, just to make sure we have everything in place. Style. So our CSS, for now, we're going to write it right there as an internal CSS. But as we progress and start building complete projects, we won't write our styles inside here. we're going to move the styles to an external file and then just link. The way we linked to the fonts, it's going to be something similar to that. So make sure you add the style. So remember, it's style, not styles. There is nothing like styles in CSS. So you just have to use style, then you're okay. Okay, so we're going to build our table right here in the body. We put there some rows, some columns, and a lot of maybe 5 rows. Just 5 rows are going to be enough. Then some columns, and then that will be it. And then we style it up. Probably I'm targeting our table to look similar to this, so, or something closer to this. Okay, so you're going to put some CSS there and then make sure it looks really nice. So without wasting a lot of time, we need to start with the tags. So the most important tag is the table contains multiple tags, not just one tag, then it solves everything. So the most important tag is the outer one. It's just called table, just table. So the table is going to build for you the whole thing. Then inside the table, you're going to put a lot of rows there, a lot of columns, and that's going to come out really nicely. So create a table. Then on the table, you just need to build your rows. So you're going to build row by row. So you have to build this row, build this one, build this one, build this one. But of course, right now we're doing it manually. But as we proceed and cover something like Python and Django, we're going to be fetching the data from somewhere, and then we build the rows one by one. So the first row, before we start building the row, the table, now inside the table here, it's divided into 2 sections. Though most people ignore those sections and just start building the rows, but I'll show you why you need to build these 2 sections. So the table has 2 sections. It has the heading section and the body section. The table head and the table body section. So those 2 sections are important for some reason, which I'm going to show you. So let's build them. So table head. So you just need to type T head, T. When you just type TH, you're going to see this table head. It is the top part that will show the titles for your table. This top part here, the green part at the top here, that is the table head. So we're going to build this row inside it and then put these headings. But though we can put some different headings, or we can stick with this, no problem. So we can go inside here and then say inside the table head we have a table row, TR. So the TR builds for you the row, TR. So you just need to type TR, then it will build for you a row. So the TR tag will build the whole of this row, and then we just need to fill it with the information. So inside the TR, we need to fill it up with the information. So the information inside the heading, you're going to use a tag called TH, table head. TH, just TH. Then we need 5 of them. So you need to say TH times 5. I think we have 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 4. 4 is enough. But whichever number. So if your table has 10 columns, you have to generate TH times 10. You have to do something like that. But if it has 4 columns, you have to do TH times 4. Something like that. So this first row is going to dictate how many columns your table is going to have. The first row is going to dictate how many columns this table is going to have. So here we just need 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just 4 columns. So that's why you have to do th times 4. But of course, you can type them one by one if you want. So every row has the data, and the data you need to place it. If it's a heading, you have to place it inside th. Then you can maybe do it manually one by one, or you can say just th times 4. So we can do something like this. Then we need to give it the name. So rank, the name, points, and team. So you can say here rank, then the name of that team, the points, and the team in which they belong. Yeah. But of course, you can name it anything. So these titles are going to appear, are these actually these titles that appear at the top here. Okay, this one's over here. Okay, so if you have more titles, you can just add them right there, add them all the way. But for now, let's just cover those 4 to start us off. But if you want, we can add a little bit more. So we are done with the first part of building our table. So though it will look really ugly, but we will style it up. We're going to make sure it looks really nice. So if you run it, go ahead and run it and have a look at how it's going to display. So remember to run it, you just right click anywhere within your HTML file, then you say go, open it with the live server. Then it's going to open it, and yeah, there you see your table looks really bad, but no problem. We're going to fix this in a moment. Yeah, so we're going to fix this. We're going to put colors. We're going to change the spacing, all the things to do with the heading. We're going to fix that using CSS. Let's just build the content first, then use some CSS to make the table look much more beautiful than whatever you're seeing here. Okay, so run it, check how it shows, and then it should be just something like this. So if you want more columns, feel free to add them there. All right. So most important thing, remember, a table is divided into 2 sections, the head and the body. So the head is where that top row is going to go, which will have the headings for the different columns. Then the body is where we need to put the actual data for this table. So at the bottom here, at the bottom, oh, come on, oh, it's here. At the bottom here, the whole of this thing is the body. So let's generate that. So you have to go right below where the head ends. That's where the body is going to begin. So you're going to generate that tag called tbody. So tbody or table body, table body, table body. So you're going to generate that table body. So the body we're going to put here several rows, just like this table row. We're going to generate several rows down here. So for now, we'll just generate maybe 5 rows. That is enough. We don't need a lot of rows in there, and ensure that it's working correctly. Okay, so on the table body, we need to generate our first row, then the second, then the third. So we'll generate the first row manually, then the other ones we're going to use the shortcut to type it, and then it's going to generate for us. Okay, so generate the first row. So you're going to say tr, so table row. So this is the first row that we're building. You have to build it, remember, row by row, not column by column. You have to go row by row. You build one row at a time until you finish. So this is our first row here inside the table body. So this first row is going to contain 4 columns again. So we're going to put the rank, the name, the points, and the team. So we're going to just generate table data. This time it's not th, it's td. Td means the data, the actual data, table data. So 4 of them. So for each column, so you have to do td times 4. So for each column, the rank, the name, the points, and the team. So that's why we are saying td times 4. So each row is going to have 4 compartments inside there. So you're going to put in each compartment these values, and they have to be in this order. So the first thing is the rank. So you're going to say there, this one is rank number 1. Then the name, put any name there. It doesn't really matter. I can just call it Tom. The points, put any number, something like 77. And then the team, put any team. I can just call it Bayern, something like that. Team Bayern. So something like that. So this, the first column is going to fall under this column, the second under this one, the third under this one, all the way to the last. So in case you have 5 columns, you have to have 5 TDs inside here. Okay. So TD is table data. This single unit is data. Yeah. TD means table data. Table data. Then TH means table heading. Table heading. So you have to know inside here, you have to use TD. Then in the heading, you have to use TH for the table heading. Even though I just see some people over here, they use TD, and it still works perfectly okay. But the correct way to do it is this way. Inside the heading, you have to use TH for the table heading. Then inside the data, the actual data that you're going to put, you're going to use TD. So we can generate this 4 more times at once. So that's where the shortcuts come in handy. So you can start with the brackets here, and then you say you want a table row. Then inside the table row, you want TD times 4. Yeah, so 4 of them. So it's going to generate for you a row. Then inside, it will put the table data, 4 of them. Then the whole thing, we want it 4 times. So you can do something like that. So you can do something like that, and it's going to generate for you all the other table rows and table data for you really quick. Of course, you can type one by one, no problem, if you want, but just to make your life a little bit easier, you can also just type like this. That's where shortcuts come in handy. So after this table row, you need to put another table row and another one and another. We are only targeting 5 of them. So we've started off with 1, then we are generating the other 4 by using the shortcut. So you're saying, I want a table row, then inside each table row, table data times 4. So it's going to generate this 4 of them. Yeah. Then the whole thing, I want it to be multiplied 4 times, or whichever number of times. You can do 10 times. Then you can see it generates for you really quick. It generates for you all that stuff really quick. So let me just put the shortcut here as a comment, just in case you want to follow through. That's how you're going to generate it. So remember the comment, control /, and the comment won't affect anything to do with your code. It's just for your future reference. So I need this shortcut here. That's where shortcuts come in really handy. ×4. When you're doing something repetitive like this, generate. So add the data. So just put any data. It doesn't really matter. Here I'm going to say 2. Then the name is maybe Mary. Then the points. Put any number. And the team. So can go to another one. I say this on 3. Put any number. Put any number. So it has to be in that order. Yeah. So remember, don't break the order. Otherwise, you might find some things misplaced. You have to start with the rank. It's just a number. Then the name, put any name that you want. The point is just some number. Then the team, put any name there. Just to hold your content, put any name. So here the point is 62. I can even say the team is then you go here, you say number 5. I can go on and on and on and on, but for us 5 is just enough. It's more than enough to start with. Then point 98 team. Something like that. So put any team, doesn't really matter. So I can go on and on and on and on and on, but these are enough. These are enough for us. Just continue adding until you reach 5. Take your time, don't be in a hurry. I'll give you enough time. Then yeah, you can see our table, but it looks really ugly. But we're going to fix this. We're going to fix this with CSS. But what HTML gives you is exactly that. So we can continue and add a lot more data down here, but 5 is enough. 5 is enough. So just put them there. We could have added a little bit more columns, but these 4 are okay. So the rows, you build row by row, yeah? You build one row at a time, and it's as simple as saying tr, then inside it you say td. Depending on how many columns you have to put, or for each column you put a value there, then that will be okay. So yeah, so just again to redo it. So remember, you have your table. You have to build the first row, the top row again. So the top row is where the titles actually go for each column. Then you have to go to the body, yeah, the body section. So the body is actually the actual content, yeah, the actual data is where the body is going to go. So you have to generate all the rows. You have to generate all the rows one by one, yeah. You have to generate all the rows one by one. So each row is going to contain these 4 values: the rank, which is the number, then the name, the points, and the name of the team. So just putting there random data, nothing real. So what you need to do is inside your body, you have to specify that you want a table row, then press enter. Then inside the table row, you have to put in these values, 4 of them. So the data, table data times 4. You have to do table data times 4, TD. The actual data values for each row are going to be 4 because we have 4 columns. So the first one is the rank, which you put there, maybe a number like 1. Then the name of that team, the name of that, I don't know if it's a person, if it's a team, you're going to put it there. Then the points, you're going to put the points there. The team, yeah, you're going to put the team, you're going to put the team there. So that's what we are going to build. So you have to repeat this, building the row as many times as your data is going to allow. So right now we're only building 5 of them, remember. But a real application won't have just 5. It's going to have many, thousands, yeah, thousands. But you won't be building them manually. We're going to write the code in Python to generate it for you, yeah, without, or you can do it in JavaScript, Python, or whichever programming language you're going to do. You're going to generate that as many times as you want. But for now, I think this is good enough. So all you need to do is repeat this either by copy pasting, or you can generate some other rows down here. You can just do another tr, then you do another td times 4, and then you fill it up with the information. So you can say here the rank is number 2, here the person is Rumi, then the points are 87, then the team is Lace, something like that, Leicester, something like that. Yeah. So you have to repeat that as many times as your data is going to allow. Okay. So we will cover that when you have the data, a lot of data, and you want to display it. We're going to cover that when we cover Python. Right now, we're just assuming you have some little data like this. But as we move on, you're going to we're going to work with something really big in Python, not just a few columns like this. It's going to be maybe 10, 12 columns. And then, but the concept is going to be exactly the same, only that on a much larger scale than what we're covering here. Okay? It's going to be on a bigger scale than what we're covering here. Okay. So, but the thing with tables, the data must be the structured type of data where you know, like maybe something like uh, ranking for particular teams. You know the name of the team, you know how many games they have played, you know how many um, games they've played, you know how many points they have accrued, something like that. You have to know everything about your data. But if it's random data, maybe that is not structured, then the tables might not be the most suitable way to present that data. It might be a little bit different way to present that data. But this one is for mostly structured type of data where you know exactly each data point, the value that goes in there, so that you can arrange them nicely over here. Okay, so so if you want to generate more columns, you can use this shortcut. Okay, but if you find the shortcut really maybe it's not something for you, you can do it one by one, no problem. You just need to say tr, then td times 4, and then you fill it up, then move on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, until you're able to complete everything. So go on and on and on and on, and add all those columns to your data until you reach just 5. So for me, I'll just undo this to go back to, yeah, to go back to this data that I had populated. Yeah, so you have to build row by row until you reach all the end, or you build all the rows and columns and then fill them up with data. That's okay. Then of course remember to save your code. You save your code so that it arranges everything perfectly. This is a good example where the arrangement is going to really matter, because you can see most of these things are contained inside another one. So we have the table, which is the outermost element, which contains two, I can even fold them right here, two major elements, the heading part and the body part. So you can see they are not on the same alignment here. They are a bit inside so that it's just easy for you to read. This one doesn't really affect if your code is going to execute or not. It's just for readability purposes. And this is really important. When you go out there, you need to make your code readable. And it's so easy. You see, you just need to press Control S and then it will auto save. So remember to enable that feature where when you save, it fixes for you the alignment of the code. So if you go to File, Settings, I think we did it a little bit earlier, File, Settings, then you search for Format. So you're going to see this text editor, formatting, and then you make sure you format your code when you've saved. It will just do for you the magic. Okay, so you don't need to go back and forth aligning them. You just need to press Control S, then it will format your code. And the same applies even when we switch over to the other two, PyCharm. It will do for you the same thing, same thing. So that's it. So for us, the 5 rows are good enough for learning purposes, but when we jump into Python, we won't deal with 5 rows. We'll deal with thousands, yeah, thousands of rows. Even if the data is dummy, but we're going to deal with a lot of rows inside there. All right, now the first thing that you need to do when you're styling the table, you need to start with the outer elements and then you drill down to the inner elements here, the inner elements. You don't just pick one random thing and style it. So you have to go that way. You start with the outermost element, like the table itself, then you go until you're done with everything here. So what we need is to prepare the materials that we're going to use for our table. So the first material is the font. You remember the Google font? We need to bring in the font because you can see on this table, the font looks much better. This font here looks much better. So we need to bring in the font and yeah, apply it. Then you can see the font comes in two versions. There is the bolder one. If you notice this, the highlighted line is the bolder one. Then this other one is not that bold. So it's the same font, but yeah, you might want to do this effect. So you're going to see how we can do it. So let me get one font, then we can share for all of us. I'll just share the link, then all of us just copy paste. But feel free if you want to put your own font, feel free to go there and grab your own font. You're not limited to the font that we're using. You can grab any font over there and apply it. Whatever thing you see that is fancy, and just remove the old fonts. So if you had Google still remembers the fonts that you used previously, so you have to remove them. You have to click on that bag on the top right corner there. Then you remove the old fonts that were there. Otherwise, it will still remember it. And you might just import in some fonts that you're not using. So for me, I think this one is I don't know which font is this. I really don't know which font is this, but I'm just picking something closer to that. I think this Roboto is perfect. So I can just click on that Roboto. Then I'm going to select the two versions. The regular version, which I'm going to use. Is this really Roboto? Okay, no, not Roboto. I think Roboto is a little bit off. Monaco, I don't know if Monaco is here. Let me just search for it. Monaco, no. Railway. I think that's the font. Yeah. So I'm looking for this font. I think it's something closer. But if you find something even closer to whatever font you see on this table, you can pick it. No problem at all. We're just here to learn, not to build the exact thing. So I'm going to pick the regular version, which is of font weight 400, and then the bolder version. I only need those two. Maybe the bolder version I pick. Maybe this one 500 is enough. So 400 and 500. So those two fonts, I'm just going to share them on the chat here. So I just copy the links, and I'm going to put them on the chat. If you want, you can grab those links on the chat, and then you're good. So you're just going to paste the links. Remember, for your fonts, the link go just above your style tags. Don't put them inside the style tags here. You have to put them above the style tags. So you paste them right there. So this is going to download the fonts before the styles get applied. If you put them below, the fonts will be downloaded later when the styles have already been applied. So your font might not reflect on the page. So grab those links, then just paste them right above your style tags. If you have any if you have any other font, feel free to use it. You are not limited to whatever I'm sharing. But if you feel like you want to use my font there, the Railway font, this is the name of the font here. Railway, or whatever, how you spell it, doesn't really matter. So this one, if you want to use that, perfectly enough. But if you find another font that is much better to your eye, feel free to use it. Okay, so we can start writing our CSS here. So this was just the setup that you do. You bring in the fonts that you need. You don't do them later, just finish up with the setup, then okay. So remember, you can bring in as many fonts as you want, not just one font. You can do 2, 3, but a typical website is just going to have 2 fonts at most. No, don't mix so many fonts in your site. It will confuse the users. Okay, so here we need to start with the table. We style it, then move to the table head, then the table body, and then we style all the elements one by one until it works correctly. So you're going to start with the table, and then so we write the CSS styles for the table correctly. So there are several things that we need to do on the table. This table here, it's so small. We need to tell it to become a little bit bigger. So we're going to learn a new CSS property about that. Then we're going to move our table to the center horizontally. So we need it to display somewhere here, not skewed on the left like this. So we're going to learn another way to put it on the center. So we're going to learn about that. Then we learn how to do this. You see the corners, this shadow. There is some shadow there that is not showing correctly. So many things here. We're going to learn background. We're going to change the background, the text color, the font on this, and so many other things. So let's start that. So we're going to tell the table the width. Yeah, the width of the table. That's a very important CSS property. The width. If you want to make something bigger, you can change the width and the height. So in this case, the height is controlled by the content, but the width, if you want to make it bigger, you're going to play around with the width property. So you're going to add width. Width, you just need to type WI, it's going to generate for you the width property. So the width, we want it to be relative to the screen. So if your screen is bigger or smaller, we want it to be relative to that screen. So we're going to tell it, this table, the width of it, we want it to be around maybe 40% of the screen. So we're not fixing the values, we're just telling it to take up some percentage on the screen. So if you go to your table, you can see it's a little bit enlarged, but of course still very ugly. Don't worry about that. So the width. So if you feel 40% is small, feel free to play around with this number. You can even say 50%. It will take exactly a half of your screen, your browser width. So if your browser is squeezed, it will take exactly 50% of that available space. Yeah. So we're not fixing the width, we're just telling it take 50% of the screen. Yeah. So that's mostly how you're going to find people measuring the width. They'll measure it using percentage, but we could have done something like pixels. We could have done here something like 400 pixels, something like that. It will still work correctly, but the problem is that with that, it's going to be the responsiveness, which we're going to talk about, not for now, but a little bit later. But for now, just use something like 50%, or you can do 60% if you want. Okay, so that's the width. Then you can see the width nicely there. So we'll work with most of these properties until we'll come back to the table when you need to do something. Yeah. So we can even tell it all the font family. So you need to we need to use this font here that we downloaded. So you're going to say the font family. So when I apply the font family on the table, it will apply that font to everything inside that table. Okay, so I don't need to go one by one here. If I tell, since everything is inside the table, if I tell the table I want all the fonts on this table to be this font, it will apply that font everywhere. So here I just need to say font family, FF. Yeah, so you're going to see font family, and then you specify the font family. So it's this font family. Remember, this property is the one that is generated on your Google Fonts. You can always copy it. It's right there, this railway. But right now, we can type it manually. We can say the font family is, then you use quotes, single quotes, then put the name of your font family there. Yeah, you can just type it manually like that. Then this is perfectly okay. So this is going to apply this font to every text on that table. So you just need to take note of that. If you have a lot of text, you don't need to hunt each paragraph, each heading, and you apply font family. Since all of them are going to belong to one mother element, you can apply that style to the mother element, then all the children inside there will inherit that style. Yeah. So if we have applied it at the table level, all these children, by children I mean all the elements that are inside that table, automatically we're going to inherit this font. So when you are applying fonts, you always need to specify a fallback plan. Don't just apply this font here. Sometimes the Google servers go down. Okay, the Google servers might go down, which is, it's very rare. It's extremely rare for the servers to go down. So sometimes Google fonts might go down. So please shut your mic so that you don't interfere. So when the servers go down, this font won't load. So you need to provide a fallback plan. So after specifying the font here, you need to specify another fallback font. So this font by default, they are suggesting us to use sans serif. This font by default is installed on all the machines. All the machines, you're going to find this font. Yeah, so this is why we are specifying two fonts. If this fails, then you need to put there a comma and say, please use sans serif. That's why we are specifying two values. Of course, you could just have copied this value from Google Fonts and pasted it here, but you can also type it manually. So, you know, the name of the font is this one over here, Railway, this one. Then this is the fallback option in case this font fails to load because of whatever reason. Maybe your internet connection to Google servers is blocked, then that is going to load. So I think, yeah, I think the font is loading correctly and we are done with the table. So we're going to add some few more properties here, don't worry, but it's coming up slowly, don't worry. We're going to fix one by one until our table looks nice like this one. Okay, so after the table, we need to start with the head here. We need to style that head. We make sure it's really nice, this table head here. And then we're going to also style the body. So table head and the body is going to be almost the same thing. So let's start with the table head. T head, T head. So those are different CSS rules. So for the table. So remember the table head is the topmost part where all our content is going to go. So inside here, we're just going to add a few things. Probably this background color, the green background color here, we need to add it. The text color, we need to change it to white, and then we will be done. So we can tell it here, we want, let's try that, background color. So you can say background color. That's a new CSS property we're learning. Then you say it's green. So you can start with that. Then you can pick a better version of green by just clicking on the triangle. But if you like that green, you can just leave it as that. So you can see, I'll explain several things there that are really important. Don't worry. You can see it's pointing, it's making it green, which is great, but you can see why it's cutting here, white. Okay, so let's change the color of the text. So if you want to just change the color of the text to white, not white. So I think those are the two things that we need to change on the table head. So the background color and the color for the text is white. Then this font, we need to make it a little bit heavier than this. Remember, we downloaded two font weights here, 500 and 400. So we need to make the table head a little bit heavier. So font weight, we're going to use 500. This one here. 400 is going to be applied on the other areas, but 500, we want it to be on this side here. If we could have downloaded the 700 version if you wanted. Of course, I can just simply edit here and tell it, if I want the 700 version, I can put a semicolon and say 700 there. It will download it also and then apply even the 700 version here. But we just want, we can just do with that 500. That's perfectly okay. So the font weight dictates how thick your font is going to be. Yeah, how thick it's going to be. Okay, now notice how it looks like. It's coming up slowly, but we are not yet there yet. We still have a few things to fix on that. Yeah, so you can see the spacing the padding, yeah, it's a lot. Then the text alignment, we're going to work with that. The font size is bigger, yeah, it's not smaller like whatever we're seeing here. So you can change the font size. We're learning a lot of CSS rules here. Okay, so the font size, and this is a very important thing. The font size, you need to measure it and make sure when you view the font size on a larger screen, the font is a bit bigger. When you view the font size on a mobile phone, the font scales automatically. Okay? So this is how you do it. Very important. You need to know this. There are several ways to measure font size. We could just use pixels. You can say it's something like 25 pixels. So the problem with this is that it's not going to scale correctly. When someone views your thing on a small device, it's still going to be 25. When someone views your table on a larger device, it's still going to be 25. So it won't expand correctly. So it won't adapt to the different screen sizes correctly. So what you need to do is you need to use a relative way to measure it like this. You see this here? The way we measured, you saying 50%. So when you say 50% and then your screen becomes smaller, it will just scale down correctly. When you say 50% and then your screen becomes larger, it's going to take 50% of the screen. So we need to do the same with the font. We won't fix a number like this one here. Instead, we're going to use a relative way to measure. So by default, your browser has a set font size. By default, it's 16 pixels, okay? Most browsers support 16 pixels. That is the default font size. So it's called the root element size, the root font size. So, but the user, you as a user, you can change that font size on your browser. Most people I see, they just increase, they just zoom, yeah, just zoom. But I think there is some setting somewhere where you can change the default font size from 16. Now, if it's 16, you might find that you are using a very high resolution screen. Maybe your screen is very high end, not these poor screens that are not high resolution. So on that high-end screen, you might find the font size is a little bit different. So you want to measure and make sure your font size is relative to whatever has been set there. So if maybe there by default is 16, maybe you just want it to be maybe 1.5 times bigger here. So you're going to do something like this. You're going to say 1.5 root element rem, 1.5 rem. So rem means root element, the root font size, yeah, rem. It's going to mean root element, the size of the root element. So if I want it to be 1.5 times bigger, I'm just going to say 1.5 times. So if the user has set up their font size to be 8, maybe the screen is very high resolution, then they set the font size to be 8, it will be 1.5 times 8, which is going to be 12. If I want it to be much bigger, I can do 2. So this is going to be multiplied by whatever number the browser is using. Then your font is going to scale correctly on different devices and work correctly. So that's something really important. For font, don't use pixel here. Just use rem and you have sorted 99% of your problems when it comes to how the font is going to scale on different devices. And this is how out there they measure the font. You don't fix it as pixels. Just use the root element. So you say 1.5, then the root element size. So if they have set it to 16, it will take that 16, then multiply by 1.5, and then you are good. There is another way to measure it using M. I'll talk about it later. EM, not REM, EM. So If you feel 1.5 is very large, it's perfectly okay to scale it a little bit down. You can say even 1.2 or 1.3, or you can even do 1.25. You see, you can do something like that. It's perfectly okay to do something like that. So you don't really need um, to do it like just 1.2. You can go a few more decimal places. You can even do something like 1.1 or 1.15. That is perfectly okay. It's going to scale it up a little bit larger. So this is how you're going to measure fonts. This is how you're going to measure fonts in CSS. Okay, not using, yeah. So even the smartwatch, you can do something like this. The smartwatch has a font size, so it will take that number, then multiply it with this. And uh, this is not just one fix works for all screens. As we proceed, you're going to see that we will be able to test our application on different screens. I'll show you, even if you don't have the actual mobile app, the mobile phone. I'll show you how to test it on different screens. Then we can write CSS that is very specific and say this CSS is going to only work, target a specific screen size, and then we might adjust. We say, okay, on this screen, this thing is too small. Let's make it a little bit bigger. But we only want it to work on this screen. We don't want to touch, we don't want that effect to affect the other screens. So we're going to have media queries, what we call media queries. We write them here, and then it will work. This one is not going to fix for all the screen sizes. We might want to adjust either upwards or downwards. That's perfectly okay. So you can even use something, if you want it to be smaller, you can use something like 0. Maybe 85. It's perfectly okay. It's going to take 16 times 0.85, then it will put that number here. Okay, so but for now, just want it to be bigger. That's why you multiply 1 point, maybe 1.5, just to make it a bit bigger, or you can do 1.2. It will work correctly. Okay, then the next thing that we need to do is start. So we might come back here later. So let's see. So you can see there is some border here. You can see the white lines here. We want to tell it, we don't want this border. We don't want this border. So I can, maybe I try it here. I can tell it, I don't want that border. So you're going to say border collapse. You're going to use this property, border collapse. Then you say collapse. On the table heading, you can say border collapse, collapse. Then, oh, it's not working on that level. No problem, I think. This one, I need to do it on the table TH. On the TH. That's where the border is being applied. On the TH. So we can do here. We can do it right here. We can go down here and target the TH. The TH. We tell it we don't want the borders to be on the, we want to mark all the borders on the TH. So you're going to say border collapse, collapse on the TH. If you don't want that border, the white border, border collapse. So you just need to type BC, BC, and you're going to see this property called border collapse. Then you tell it, please collapse that border. And is it not collapsing? This property is usually very confusing. I don't know if it needs me to apply it on both the table and the TH. Yes, we really need it here. Let's see. I let me try to remove it here and see if what is the effect. It's perfect. So we don't really need this property on the th. We're going to add some properties on the th here. We need it on the table. Yeah, put it on the table so that it affects the whole table. The whole table. Just say border collapse, collapse. It will close down that border that was here on the table, and then yeah, the border is going to go away. So just step by step, and you're going to experiment. You're going to remove some properties. You're going to add some properties until you reach there. There are so many properties you can add there, but we're just covering common. You can see today we've covered quite many. The width, the border collapse, the font weight, the font size. We've covered that one. So on this th, we can also add text alignment. So if you look at it carefully, you can see the text is aligned to the center. It's at the center. So we want to change the text alignment. We put it here, okay, on the left. And then the other thing that we want to do, at least according to our table here, yeah, the text is aligned on the left. Then we add padding. You remember padding from our class on, I don't know if it was Thursday or Friday. We move the content away from the edges. You can see the content is very close to the edge. We just need one property there, then is going to pad. Yeah, we tell the th, please add some space between the edge and the content. So you're going to go to your table head, then you say text alignment, text align. Yeah, you can just type ta. Then you're going to see this text align. Then you tell it where do you want the text to be aligned. So we want it to be aligned on the left. So you can see the text goes to the left. Initially, it was at the center, but you can also do just 3 positions: left, center, and right. That's perfectly okay. Okay, so you can do something like that. Text alignment, so you can see the text goes to the left. Then the other thing, we can tell it to add some padding. Add some padding. This padding here. We want the text to be away from the edge. So you can say the padding should be, so try some numbers there. You can start with 16 pixels. 16 pixels. You can see it actually grows and becomes a little bit bigger. So if you do 16. So remember, if you just say 16, it's 16 around the element. It's around the whole element. 16, 16, 16. Yeah, around the whole element. But of course, you can be more specific. You say padding top and padding bottom to be 16. Top and bottom to be 16. Then left and right something else. But no problem. This perfectly okay. Padding of 16. Then we are almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Okay, so the other thing that we might need to change is this corner. You can see the corner. This corner is not sharp the way it's curved. Yeah, it's curved a little bit here. The corner here is curved. But in our example, the corner here is 90 degrees. Yeah, so you might want to curve this corner here. So there is a property called border radius. Border radius is just how curved your borders are. By default, it's 90 degrees, all the borders, the corners, but we can play around with that. So let's try it here. I've never tried on the border radius. So you can just type br, and you're going to see this property called border radius. Yeah, I want you to try maybe 16 pixels. Just try that number and you see. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't work there. It doesn't work there. Border radius 16 pixels. So it won't work there. But I'll show you where we're going to put it in a little bit later. I'll show you where we're going to put it. I don't want to go there right now, but I'll show you how to bend this. Only this top left corner, we bend it, and then the top right corner, we also bend it so that it's curved nicely there. So we're going to do that. Let's just finish this. This is not a lot of work. In the next 5 minutes, we will be done with this lower part, and then we will be good. Okay, now for this other part, this other body part, it's not, we've actually done most of the work. It's just maybe 2 or 3 properties and we are actually done. So we will style them up. Then once we have our table nice and looking, we're going to do some fancy things like making sure the colors are alternating. You can see this is white, gray, white, gray, white, gray. We will see how we can alternate those colors. We're going to see how we can do things like when you hover, yeah, when you hover your cursor over a particular row, you want to highlight it and maybe change the color to green, the whole row. You want to do something like that. So we will actually be able to also implement that. Okay, so yeah, okay, so we'll do border radius a little bit later. Okay, so let's just stick with those few rules. So let's do for our we go to our table body. For the whole body, we don't need any other style, I think. So we just need to go to the table data here directly. The table data, because that's the only thing we need, and then we are done. So table data. So we're doing a lot of just the basic things. There are a lot of CSS you can do in there, but for now, this okay. So for the table data, I need to save this just to align it correctly. Yeah. So for the table data, we're just going to do something similar here. We're going to align the text to the left and then add some padding. And professionally, I can do something, just copy, paste these 2 rules to the table data, and yeah, it will be good. But this not the professional way to do things, because I've just repeated myself here. Yeah, this is repeating your work, which is actually discouraged. If you have CSS rules like this and you repeat yourself, it's highly discouraged, because when I change something, I need to now change it twice, which will actually not make a lot of sense. So what is the better way of, if I have some 2 rules that are shared across several elements, what is the best way to handle that? So it's actually very easy. So if I have these 2 rules and I just wanted to write them once, of course there are several ways. I could use a class, yeah? I could just go here and assign all these things a class, but also I can target these 2 things at once. So I can do something like this. These 2, I can combine them to look like this. I can say I want the table row, the table header, comma, table data, and then write the CSS there. Okay, so I can combine these 2 to be one like that. If you want to target multiple things at once, multiple elements at once, you can just mention all those elements separated by a comma like this. So I can say element A, element B, element C, element D. Then I say for all these elements, I want the color to be white. Yeah, I can do something like that. So you just need to separate them with a comma and it's still going to work correctly. So these two, you can merge those styles to look one like this. This is a better way to write your code. All those shared properties, you need to put them together so that when you want to change, you only have one place to change and then you're good. But it's perfectly okay, even if you do it like this, it's perfectly okay, but it's discouraged. From my experience, this one is discouraged. They encourage putting all those elements together like this one if they are shared common properties. But if you have unique properties that are only affecting the TD, then I can come here and put it on the TD. Yeah. If I have only unique properties that are affecting the TD, I'm going to put them right here. And for the TH, I'm going to, if it's unique. But if it's affecting multiple elements, you can group them together like that, and then you're good. Okay. So remember to comment in CSS. It's just control slash again. Just go anywhere within your code and then you press control slash. It generates for you the code. Or if you want to comment the code, you can highlight your code, you select your code, maybe those 2 lines, and then you control slash. It will comment it. So control slash. That one works everywhere in the CSS, in HTML, in Python. It's just control slash. The only thing that is going to be changing is these characters here. They're going to be a little bit different. All right. All right. So since these do the same thing as this, of course you can comment out this. But even if you leave it there, no problem at all. Just write a comment somewhere. Then you say for these repeated tags, you can group some of them together like this, and still going to work correctly. Okay. So we still have just a few more things here, and we are done. So we need to draw these lines. We need to draw these lines here. You see these lines here? The gray lines. And maybe on the last element, we can draw the green line. It's just a border. That line is just a border, nothing else. So we can draw the lines on the TD. The border, it's just a border. That line is a border at the bottom. We can say here on the TD. Yeah, so make sure you are on the TD. TD only. We don't want to draw it on the TH. It's on the TD only. We tell it, okay, we want border at the bottom. Yeah, we want a line at the bottom. That line is called a border at the bottom. Then it will draw a line below each TD. It's going to draw a line. Then we're going to also select the last one. We draw a line on it alone. Yeah, the green line. So we're going to say it's 1 pixel, solid, and gray in color. But feel free to change the color. But from the design here, I'm seeing a gray line, okay? This gray line here. Then we might refine it. So those lines there, green color. But the gray color, it's very, I'll say it's very solid. Maybe the gray is very dark gray. Maybe I just need some version of light gray color. So in that case, you can just click on this color palette here, and then you make sure you select not the RGB. You use the hexadecimal colors, but all of them are just going to do the job for you, no problem. Even if you decide to use RGB, it's just going to do for you the job, this color. So don't try to remember the numbers. You just visually choose the color that you want. Maybe I want it there. I want the color there. It will do for you the job. But I prefer this hexadecimal color codes. Yeah, hexa. But if you choose RGB, well and good. It's still going to do for you the job. So you select your color and then Yeah, so I prefer that lighter version of gray. Yeah, you can see it there. You can see it there. So slowly, slowly, slowly we're getting there. So you can see the lines, these lines here. Though I think theirs are a little bit thicker. Maybe you can, if you want it thicker, you can change this thickness here, 1 pixel. You maybe do 2 pixels. It's perfectly okay. It doesn't have to be 1 pixel, but if you just want a one fine line, you can use 1 pixel. So that is the color. And remember the color code, just hover and then you can change the color code right here and select the region that you want the color to be. It will do for you the job. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me just reply something here. Okay, now the next thing that you need to do is the next thing that you need to do is so you've drawn the line, it's perfectly okay. Okay, so our table might be 50% is too big, but no problem, no problem, no problem. We're almost there. So the last row here, we need to change the color. This color, we just need to change the color, the border color to be green, and we make it a little bit thicker. So there are several ways in which I can select the last row. This last row. So the first way is where now classes come in. So I can add the class there and then target the class. So let's do that. That's the easiest. I can just go to the last row, I add a class there. I say the class is, maybe let's call it last. So do that. Okay, so the quickest way is just to do that. You give it a class, the last row, and then I'll show you another way to target. Then I can just come here, then say, please go to this class dot last. Okay, so now I'm targeting the class now. So you see now the power of classes. You give it a class, then the class will enable you to pick out that element from the rest of the element. So I can come here, then say dot last, then in this last row, I want all the TDs, yeah? So this is how you select. You go to the last row, then you select the TD, and then change the border color. So you're going to say border, or you can just paint a new border. We want it to be thicker, maybe 3 pixel, solid, and maybe green in color. Okay, but you can choose the version of green. So this is how you pick it out. You say go to the last row, then make sure each TD has a border at the bottom. Remember, it's at the bottom, not just a border. If you just say border, it will draw a square border around it. But instead, we need a border at the bottom like this. Yeah, just need a border at the bottom on that. So it will only pick the last TD and make sure all the last TDs, these TDs here, they're going to be having a border at the bottom, and that border is going to be different from the other ones, and that is how we are able to achieve it. So that's one way to pick it out. Easiest way. Give it an ID or a class. So we said mostly we're going to use a class, not an ID, because for a class, we can share it across multiple elements. So we can reuse this class on another element. So we're telling it, go to the last row. So it will go to the last row here. Remember, last is just a name. Then make sure you pick out the TDs, and make sure all of them have this border. Okay. Okay, so test that, test that, test that. I want to make sure, don't be in a hurry. Make sure it's working. Test it. Make sure the border on the last row is green. Feel free to put any border color. That's up to you. We will do a few more things here. Then we call it done. We need to put a shadow. We need to put effects when you hover your cursor. We need to do that. We're going to do all that. So don't worry. But at least change the border color. Then we're going to resume in a moment. Okay, so test that, test that. I want us to do the other things really quick, and then finish up with this in the next maybe 10 minutes. And then we also cover a little bit of tables. We style them up and make sure they are nice. So test that. If it's working, perfect. If it's not working, you can let me know. I can have a look at your code. Then, but basically, those are the properties that we're going to cover. So remember these properties. Border, you can apply it to any other element. It doesn't have to be a table, and it's going to work correctly. Now, now. Okay, so the last thing that I wanted us to do, we need to put a shadow on this table. It's something that is not very visible, um, but there is some small shadow on that table that makes it come out nicely. So let me just show you. So the good thing is that we don't even need to write the code. They are shadow generators. So I can just say CSS. Let me share with you some sites that we can use to generate the box shadow. It's called a box shadow. So if you have an element, let me just demo it here. If you have an element, you might want just that little bit of effect to make it appear like it's floating. Yeah, that is what we call shadow. So I can play around with it here. I change the shadow. It's basically some drawing that will appear behind the element. I can play around with it here. Yeah, I can do so many things to do with that shadow. So this, I don't know what is the perfect um, I don't know what's the perfect settings to put it there, but I can just get, I can get some really good shadows here. Let me just get some shadow. Uh, but remember, you can generate that shadow. You don't need to think a lot and wonder how this one is. I can just generate the shadow, and okay, it's okay. So I'm going to these sites here, then I can see some really nice shadows. I can click on any. So these shadows here, there are multiple of them. You can click on any shadow here, and it's going to copy for you the CSS code. Let me just try before I share it. I want to share something that's not really good. So if I go to the table itself, this shadow is going to go to the table. So that is the CSS that's being generated. But let me see on the code how it looks like. Yeah, it's some really cool effect there. You might, to make our table looks like it's floating. So let me share with you the link so that you can just copy on any of the shadows. The good thing with this one is already generated for you. You just need to click on one of the boxes, and then you copy the shadows. So some things you don't really need to write them, just generate, and then you're good. So go to that URL that I've shared on the chat. There are several shadows. Look at them. Look at how that element looks like it's floating on your page. That is the shadow that we are talking about. So that's just an effect you put using CSS. So you can click on any that you want. Yeah, you can click on any that you want. Those CSS shadows, and then once you copy, when you click on any, it will copy for you the shadow. Just paste it on the table tag. Just paste it on the table tag. It will make your table appear much nicer, much nicer. It's just some small cool feature, but very important. So I can, let me just put that link here as a comment in my code. You don't need to do it, though you can put it in for future reference. You can just put it as a comment so that next time you need it, you can just go there, copy the shadow, and then you paste. So don't try to crack your mind and try to code all this from scratch. Just go generate it for you. No one will ever tell you, write this off your head. The most important thing you need to know, it's called a shadow. That's it. Shadow. Box shadow. So when you go out there, you can easily just know, oh, you want a box shadow. I know where to get it. Go here, grab it, and then put it there. So click on that link, copy one of the shadows that you really think is nice to your eyes. something that will make your table appear like it's floating on the page, and then just paste it. You're going to see your nice shadow coming out nicely. Then I'll show you how to center this table, and then we should be done with hoovering. Once we do the hoovering, that will be it. And then these corners here, we need to bend these corners and make sure they are not sharp 90 degrees. We can bend them a little bit. So generate that shadow and then paste on your table. On the table, remember, the table is the whole box that holds everything. So you don't want your shadow to be on all the other elements. You just want it to be on the outer box, the big box that holds all the rows and columns. That's how we're going to generate it. So don't those cool effects, don't crack your mind trying to think on how you're going to generate them. There are generators out there. Go copy, then paste, and then you're done. No one will ever appreciate how long you thought to generate that. No one, unless maybe it's another developer somewhere. All people care is, does it work? Yeah. Yeah. So no one will ever appreciate how you took maybe 24 hours to think of that cool shadow that you generated. No. Or how long you wrote that code. People just appreciate, oh, it looks nice, or it looks really bad. But yeah, so that's why you need to use all those other tools to generate such kind of effects. All right. Okay. So the other thing, so our CSS is not a lot. You can see it's just a few CSS rules and it works. So we said these rules are repeated. These rules are repeated. So you can just comment them out here. These repeated rules, if you want. But if you leave them there, still perfectly okay. It won't affect anything. So it's supposed to be here. Okay, so the last thing we need to do, we need to do the hover effect. When you hover over a particular row, remember you're going to have a lot of data. You won't have 2 or 3 rows. You're going to have thousands of rows, and the rows will have so many columns. How do you make sure when you hover, it maybe changes, highlights that row? That's what we want to achieve over here. We highlight that row and do something. So it's very easy here. You want, when you go to a particular table row and hover, yeah, that's how you do it. It's just as simple as that. When you go to a particular table row, then you hover. What do you want to do? You put the CSS effects that you want inside there. It's just as simple as that. So you're going to say tr colon hover. So this when you see a colon, it means in CSS something is happening. Maybe you are hovering your cursor. We're going to see many other things. This called pseudo classes. But this is the most common one in CSS when you do over something. So you go to a particular element, then you hover. What do you want to do? We just want to change the background color. Let's try that. The background color of that particular row, you can say background color. That's perfectly okay. Then you say maybe gray. Maybe just put a lighter shade of gray. Lighter shade. Of course, I want the hexadecimal color code, but remember RGB is perfectly okay. Yeah. So for me, I personally prefer hexadecimal color code. So when you hover over a particular row, it's going to change the background color. So try that. It's just as simple as that. We can even change the text color. The text color for that element, everything inside that row, the color, maybe just do green. I think we used green for our table. And you can even change the font. You can change anything. You want all the font weight in there to be maybe thicker a little bit. You can do something like that. So I'm not sure if the font weight is going to work, but let's try. If it doesn't work, we're going to fix that. But yeah, there you go. It's working. So when you hover your cursor over a particular row, it is changing the color and of that particular row, and now you can highlight the whole row and do something, yeah, about it. So really easy. You just need to say go to a particular table row, then when you hover over it, yeah, apply these styles on that table row, and that's how you're going to do it. And that's it. When you hover over a particular row, really easy. No really fancy things there that will confuse you. Just the same CSS properties, but the most important thing is this pseudo class that detects the moment your cursor hovers over something. So right now we haven't worked with animation. Notice our color changes instantly, yeah? Or the background color changes instantly. But as we continue, when we work with a little bit of CSS animation, we need to create a transition. You don't want it to be instant, yeah? The way it is right now. You don't want it to be instant. We want it to be gradual, yeah? We need it to be gradual. We need it to change gradually as you hover your cursor. Right now it's pop, it changes instantly. So we need to do that animation effect to make sure it changes gradually. So once we cover those CSS things, you can easily add them here. Transition, the transition effect, and then it will actually change gradually. All right. I think basically that's it for our table. No, we are not yet done. We're not yet done. So the other thing you can do is move this table to the center. Yeah, you need to move it here. Right now it's somewhere here on the left. We need to move it here, but and oh, notice we don't want the hover effect to cover this top part. We only want it in the content. Yeah, we don't want it to cover the top part. Right now you can see you can even hover on the header and it works. I am only interested in making it only appear on the body part, okay, something like that. Then we also move it to the center. So let's just do those two things very quickly. So we can tell the table, please go to the center, by making sure the distance on the left and the distance on the right is equal. So if you are standing in your room, then the distance on the left and on the right are equal. It means you are at the center. Yeah. So we can just do this. You can say margin. This is the easiest way. You can just say margin auto on the table. So this will, let me just write there some comment, slash star star slash will center the table horizontally. We will see later how to center it vertically so that on your browser it appears up exactly at the center of the table. Once we cover horizontally. That should be the spelling. So once we cover CSS Flex, we will see how do you center it vertically, but at least horizontally. That's it. That's how you do it. It's just margin auto. When you go to an element, then you tell it margin auto. You're basically telling it make sure the distance on the left and the distance on the right are equal, so that your element goes right at the center. So you can just use that CSS property. So on the table, remember the table is the container of everything. So you move that container to the center and you're done. Okay, then so you can go on and on and on and on. I mean, there are so many CSS rules you can apply here. Okay, so the other thing we talked about was these corners. Let's first finish this. We want to omit the hover effect from the first row. Remember, we also have the row in the header. We don't want that row to be affected by the hover effect. We don't want this row here to be affected by the hover effect. We only want the rows inside the T body. So what we can do here, we can tell it we only want to select the rows that are inside the T body. So I can come here, then say, go to the T body, and then table row hover. You see that? This one will only select table rows that are inside the T body. You can you need to tell it, go to the T body, then don't put anything here. Just say, go to the T body, then make sure when you when you hover over any row, you change those three properties, the background, the color, and the font. And that's it. So you just need to add here this. Otherwise, it will select all the rows in your page. But we only want the rows inside the T body. See this one? That's enough. That's enough. Okay. So let's test that. So you can see now if I hover over the first row, which is the heading, it doesn't really affect anything. But if I hover over these other rows, it works perfectly. Okay. So a very small change, but it's going to fix that issue of hovering all the way to the heading. So when you are selecting your elements, you can be very specific and tell it, I want only this element that is inside this. So you're going to say, go to this element first. Like in this case, go to this table body first, then now the table row, and then when you hover, so make sure you don't put a space here. Sometimes you might just accidentally put a space between the tr:hover. I find that on some browsers, it might not work when you put some space here. You need to close it completely between the tr: and hover. Make sure make sure you have that. Okay. Okay. So many things, but our table is coming up nicely. Let's just finish it off with the borders on the border radius on the elements to see how it works, to fix that. The corners, we want it to be a little bit curvier as per the design that we are following here. These top corners, the top two corners, we just want them to be a little bit curvier. Yeah, this one here, this one here. Then it will be good. So all you need to do is you need to select these two TDs. You see these two TDs? Let me see. These TRs. These two. The rank. Let me see. Do I really need to do that? No. Let me see. TH. Now let me try something different here. Don't do it. The table head, then I go inside it, table. Now let me try it here. I'm just looking at the most efficient way to do. I'm just looking at the most efficient way to do it. See if it's going to work. Okay. Let me. Let me just try something there. I'm looking at perfect. I think let me try something. Just trial and error to see the most. I think it should be here. Let's see. Okay. So just looking at, don't do it. I'm just looking at the best way to do it, but it's really easy. I can easily come here on this th. You see this th? We only want the corners to apply on this th and this one here, this one over here. So that's where I want the corners to apply. So I can easily do something like this. I can come here, give it a class. You see, I can give it a class. So I'm just showing you the easiest way. I don't want to go to that. I was thinking of another way, but somehow it looks a little bit complex. So I can go to this th, then just put some on this th. I can put some class on it. I can call it maybe this one. I can call it top left. Then this other one, the last one, I can give it a class called top right. Okay, I can do something like that. Then in my CSS, I can target these two items and then tell them to put some border radius property. Border radius. So I can tell this one to have a border radius here, and then this other one here, and then it's going to look a little bit curved. A little bit curved. I can do something like that. I know there are other ways to do it which are much better than what I'm going to show you here, but I'm just showing you the easiest way. So when you give your element that class name, the next thing that you need to do is to target them and put some border radius. So I can just come here and say on the top left dot top left. Yeah, I can do something like that. Dot top left. So when I do that, it will only select this th for the rank, and then I can say border radius top left. I can say border radius top left. Yeah, top on the left side, I want it to be maybe 20 pixel, something like that. Then on the other one, I can do border radius top right. So try that first, see if it's changing the border radius, and then I know there is there is some ugly. It will appear a little bit uglier there. but yeah, we will fix that. So you can do something like that. You can change that number. It doesn't have to be 20. You can do 16. I don't know why 16 is like a magic number in CSS. Most people will play around with 16 or multiple of 8. Can do 8, 16, 24, 32. I don't know why, but somehow most of the numbers just play around with those multiples. So the top left corner, I can do 16. Or if you just want it a little bit not too curvy, you can do something like that, just like a 10, or you might want even a smaller number. If you don't want it very curvy, play around with that number. Whichever how curvy you want it to be, it will be perfectly okay. So I can do even an 8. So the bigger the number, the large the curve that is going to be on that corner there. So I can even do it. If you just want a gentle curve, you can just do something like an 8. So on the top left, so border top left radius, yeah, the border radius on the top left. Then I can do the same on the top right. Top right. So you target the class, and you have to type it exactly the way you have named your class. If you mistype it, it won't work. So make sure the name of your class here matches with the name that you're using on the CSS. So I can go, I say border top right. Yeah. So the same number. So if you're going to use 16, feel free to use 16 or 12. That's up to you. So that's how my table appears. So that gentle border on the top right and the top left, that's how you're going to put it. All right. So I can go on and on and on and on, do so many CSS properties there. But I think for today we've learned quite the common ones that you're going to find on like all the sites. We're going to add more. So there is the only thing that is very specific to a table here is this property, border collapse. This is the only property that I found that you only use it when you're working with tables. But all the other properties are common. You're going to hover on anything. It could be a div, it could be a paragraph, and then you want to do some effects there. Yeah, you can do them. But this property here, border collapse, is only going to work with the tables. Remember, you don't want it won't work with any other particular element. Tables, as far as I know from my experience, I think it only works with tables. I've never used it on any other particular element. Probably there is, I don't know, but that's basically it. Okay, so sometimes let me take your 3 minutes to show you something. Your table won't have your table normally won't have a few data items like this. Your table will contain probably 100 items inside there, 200, 300, 400, 1,000, 1 million items if you have that. So how do you enable your table to be searchable? Yeah, you want to make your table to be searchable because you have so many records inside there, but you want it to be searchable, and the search should be live. Yeah, the search should be live. So fortunately for you, you don't even really need to crack your head and do that. It's already implemented. So I'm showing you something that's already implemented. You just plug it into your code and everything just works magically. Okay, so if you want your table to be searchable, such that it looks like this, let me show you what I'm talking about. So data tables, if you want this effect here, let's see, though I'm introducing it a little bit earlier, but it's possible to do it. So look at this table. Their table, everything is just black and white. This table over here, you can see I can search. I can search for Tokyo. You can see the moment I just type there Tok, it filters and shows me elements that belong to Tokyo. Okay, that's one cool thing. Let's say I want to do sorting. Maybe I want to sort these people by age. Yeah, you can see I just need to click there and it sorts these items by age. Yeah, in either ascending or descending order. Even the dates, I can sort the dates. This is some really cool feature. It's already paginated down here. So if you have a lot of like 1,000 records, you don't want to show all of them once in one table. You want to show it in pages. Like page 1, you have these 100 items. Page 2, page 3, page 4. So it's already paginated here. So I can easily hover using the paginated effect. I can even decide I want to show only maybe 50 items at a go on a page, or I want to show 10 items on each page. So if I select I want to see 25, then I can only see 25 people at a go. So this is really nice feature to have on your table, and especially if you're having large amounts of data, because a person might want to search through, filter. Yeah, so if you designing such kind of applications, it will be really cool to plug in this feature. So we're going to cover this. We're going to I'll show you how to do something like this once we have a larger data set. But you don't need to code anything. You don't need to code anything at all. You only need to copy some code, paste it there, then it will work. You don't code anything. So when we cover JavaScript, we're going to actually cover this. We're going to cover actually this. So that searching effect, the search, the sort, the filtering, the pagination down here, you won't write a single line of code because data tables shows you how to implement it. And if you want to explore further, it's already there. You can just go to examples here on the data table. There is examples. Then you select this one, zero configuration. You click on it. It gives you the code. If you want to try it, copy paste. It gives you the code that you can plug it in there, and then it actually works. I don't know if we can quickly do that. You see how to do it, but it's involving a lot of JavaScript code, jQuery. Yeah, but why not? Let's try it. So I can share with you a link, a direct link to that, because it involves just copy and pasting, and then we are done. So let me share the link to that so that we can just try, because it's a really easy thing to implement. Just copying and pasting. Okay, so the first thing, open that link that I've shared. The first thing, we need to link to JavaScript. So we haven't done any JavaScript, but I'm sure some of you have done that before. We need to link to JavaScript. So they have provided us with 2 JavaScript files that we need to link to them. Then we also need to link to some CSS. They already have some CSS there that they need us to also link to. And then once we link to that, We will only write this single line of code. We will copy paste, not write, and then we are done. So let's do that. So the first thing under JavaScript here, to link to the JavaScript, you need to go to your code at the bottom here, just inside the body tag, just before the closing tag of the body. That's where you need to put your JavaScript. We could have already put it at the top there, but this is the most important location to put it. When we do JavaScript, you're going to see why. So we need to link to that script. So you need to use this tag called scripts. Then you select the script source. You see this? Script source. You select this. So you're going to link to that JavaScript using this tag. Very important tag. Very important tag. So you just need to type the word script. Script. Then you select this one, script with source. Okay? Just that. So you need to generate these two tags. You need two of them so you can copy paste, because we have two JavaScript files that we are linking to, this one and this one. So you need those two script tags. Then once you've generated the two script tags, you just need to copy those script tags and paste them right here and here. The order is very important here. You have to start with the jQuery, then the other one for data table. It's just as easy as that. So generate those two script tags, then just copy these two lines here. Just this line here, or you can right click on it and then you copy the copy. Then you paste it right here. So that's the first line for jQuery. This one jQuery. Then you copy the second one and paste. And then you are done with the script tags. It's just as easy as that. Okay. So do that. So you just generate the script tags. Just type, you can type script, this source, the script with the source. Then you select script source, then you press enter, and then make sure you copy paste, generate another one, make sure there are two, and then you paste those two links. Oh, okay, the link, sorry, it's right here. Yeah, someone sent the link on the chat. It's right there. So that link already has those codes. You just need to copy, paste, and you're done. So this is the engine that does the logic for filtering and all those things. Filtering, sorting on your table, though our table doesn't have a lot of data. So, but this is what is going to do for you the magic. This one over here. Okay. Then, before we are done with this, we need this one line of code here. You see this line of code here? This line of code here is what will trigger your table to be a new data table. I can also copy it, and then this one we need to write it as JavaScript. We haven't done JavaScript. Sorry, though it's copy pasting, but we need to say script. Just say script, and then you paste it inside there. Just need to do that. So you need to copy that single line and paste it there. But you have to do it after these two lines. Don't do it before the two lines. The order here is very important. When we cover JavaScript, you're going to see all those things. But for now, just make sure it's in that order. jQuery, then the script. So it will pull the two scripts, and then this is going to change your table and make it data table immediately. So you're going to have all those features, sorting, searching, yeah? And here, this name here is going to be the ID of your table. So here they have called it example. So we can even call ours example, but you can change the name of the table there and it's going to actually work correctly. So I can also share the source links if you want. Let me just copy the whole thing. Then you can copy and paste so that you don't waste time. I can just share the whole thing. So if you having any issues, you can just copy the whole thing. I've shared it on the chat and then paste. Yeah. Yeah. So you can just copy that whole thing, but make sure you paste it on your page just before the closing tag for the body, and then you're done. Okay. Now we need one more link, or we need to link to one more thing there, which is the CSS. You can see under CSS here, under CSS, we need to link to this CSS so that it downloads it. So you're going to place this CSS right after your style tags here. Though even if you place it above, it's going to work. So after the style tags, this is where you place the CSS. So they already have their own CSS that's going to affect one or two things. So you need to create a link. When you link to CSS, you use link tag. Yeah, just type the word link, and then you can say link to CSS if you want to be very specific. And then, but by just typing link, it's still going to work correctly. Just link, and then you paste that link there. Okay, so I can also share with you the whole of this line of code, and then you paste it at your top there, and then you are done. No, not done yet. It won't be done yet. It won't be done yet. So there is one more thing that we need to do there. So let me just share this on the chat. Yeah. So those are the two things you need to link to them: the CSS and the JavaScript. So I've shared with you all the code. For JavaScript, it goes to the bottom. Then for the CSS, it's going to go right below your style tags. You see, once you finish your style tags here, it's scrolling too fast. Once after the closing tag for your styles, you put your style tag there. You link to it there, and then you're done. So the last thing you need to do, you need to give your table an ID called example. Just that ID, then you call it example. This ID is what is being used at the bottom here to turn your table from just a normal table to a data table. So they have used example. If you change it, you call it maybe sports, you can just come assign it the word sports here, but we didn't change anything. I can just call it example, and that's it. That's it. So when I refresh my page, it will actually be a data table. Hopefully it's going to work. Sometimes it refuses. Let me erase that page. You can see it's a data table. Yeah, it's working. Though their CSS has modified a few things on that table. It has modified a few things on that table, but you can see it's a data table already. Yeah, we didn't write any code by our own. We just linked to some few files, and then we changed the ID. Make sure you change the ID to example. Then this is going to work. So you can see right now, I can search for Bayern. You can see it filters Bayern or whichever name. I can sort. Maybe these points I need to sort them. I can sort, but there is a problem there. You can see the moment we sort, the border at the bottom jumps around. So that's something that might need some fixing. I can sort even the names, alphabetically. I can sort the teams alphabetically. I can the, there is some need for more CSS on this table to make it look much better, but that's a good starting point. So this is very important. If we didn't have the T head and the T body, then that data table doesn't work. It requires you to have the T head and the T body for the data table to work. Remember that, very important. We could have omitted these tags, but the data table will not work. So check it out, make sure it's working. Then now come to, when we come tomorrow here, we will cover the tables, but we will revisit this in depth. Don't worry. This was just a by the way. I didn't need to show you right now. I needed to show you when we cover real tables, when we pull a lot of data from the database, once we cover the other language. So I think that's it for today. Let's meet tomorrow. Then we can cover the tables. I'll upload the video as usual on the group. Tomorrow, is it a holiday? I'm not sure about that. Someone is asking if we have a class. But if it's a holiday, of course, if it's a national holiday, there won't be any classes. But anyway, we will see. It will be communicated in the WhatsApp group. Make sure you join, then we're going to see. I'm not aware about any holiday right now, but it's perfectly okay. So you have enjoy the rest of your day.